So we shut them down.
5-minute
They should
warning,
have been shut.
2-minute
down.
warning,
Good.
2-minute warning.
Sure. Got a fairly easy night tonight, gentlemen.
Tom,
What y'all doing up there?
Good, sir. How are you? Long time no see.
Yeah.
Do you and Pete call each other about the time?
Yeah, we did.
Coordinate your time?
Oh, we-
Right, bought it. Look at that. It's adorable. It's adorable.
It is. Nice.
The question is, where's it better?
You want definitely wears it better.
We'll have to go with that too. Sorry, Pete.
I'm good with that.
Ready? All right, we're going to call the regular council meeting of the city of Center Line to order Monday, March 7th. It is 7:30. If we could please all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, next is roll call. Let it be known we have a full council. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No,
There being no additions or deletions to the agenda, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion. We adopt the agenda as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have support?
or
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administrative responses to issues or questions raised during previous meetings.
I can think of none, but
There was none of my notes from yesterday.
Okay, there being none, we'll move on. Audience comments. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Good evening.
I'm just here to do a follow-up. I live on Helen, West Amanda.
Could you please state your name?
Sure, I'm trying. I have a new baby, grandbaby at home, so I watch all of that.
No problem.
Just doing a follow-up with the semi issue. I've sent a lot of pictures to Mr. Champagne. And it's still an issue. We've got truck haulers coming down the street with 3 and 4 cars on them now.
Anne Marie,
Yes.
yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to.
Yes.
From Helen.
So, I know I've talked with the chief as well. I'm just curious as to what's going on, what kind of plan we've got, what we're doing about it. Getting worse. I don't know if the truck haulers are coming from Rinkies or, but Chrysler's semis coming through is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Been going on for years, but it's really bad the last couple of years.
All right.
Tearing up our street.
Well,
So,
they shouldn't be going down there. so-
no, they shouldn't. And the sign, like I emailed to Mr. Champagne, the sign that they've got, the no truck sign is hidden behind the telephone pole at the corner by Rinkies. So I asked if we could have that relocated. And you put it in a place where it's more.
There's a work order in for it.
Okay, and what about I also sent a no park, there's a no parking sign that's on our street too. I live on the north side, there's no parking in the fire lane. One of them's right hidden behind a tree. It can't be seen. So we've got people parking on the wrong side of the street too. If you ever do a detail?
We've been doing a detail.
Yep.
Put a memo out there, had a detail at the first conversation you had.
Yeah.
I
You can
myself
tell
have
them.
sat on your street, in fact, in front of your house on at least a dozen occasions, myself looking for trucks sitting
Yeah.
there. of course, when you're there,
Yeah, they don't
they're not
come.
there.
Yeah, and you know, the dispatchers, I call the dispatchers, they're like, call when you see them. Well, I just called. 3 of them just went down the street in 10 minutes ago, within 10 minutes.
Is there certain times?
It's all hours of the day and night. It's sporadic,
All right.
but they're always going to Mopar. You know, I know they have a hard time making the turn at Bernie's.
It can't be that easy making the turn at
Right. You know, and there's nothing
Helen
to do about
either.
it.
So,
Right, but it's a little wider than Bernice.
Yeah.
I know they should be coming in off the Liberal, but they don't do that. So,
Why wouldn't they?
Can we reach out to Stellantis and
Sorry.
reach out to Stellantis where the trucks are going and have them put on a memo?
I have already sent an email to Valerie Noel about this issue, and she said that she would see what she could do about communicating, but one of the problems is they have multiple freight companies that they're involved.
Thank you very much. Did you have anything else?
no,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Is there anybody else that had anything? Sir?
Hi, my name is Mike Growell. My address is 49997 Lexington East, Shelby Township, Michigan. For the first 22 years of my life, though, it's 24336 Gold. Next door here. I'm currently the chairperson of the board of directors for the Historical Society of Centerline. I'm here tonight to thank the council for their consideration and approval of the resolution that we need to get into the qualification process for applying for a charitable gaming permit with the state of Michigan. Once qualified, we'd then be able to legally raise funds by holding raffles and bingos and so on. As you may know, our society was formed back in 2017. We're a tax exempt 501c3 public charity, and we are legally incorporated as a nonprofit in the state of Michigan. During the past 4 years, we've amassed a considerable collection of historical documents, photos, and other artifacts that are enough right now to fill a good portion of the 10 by 20 storage locker that several of our board members have been renting for the past 2 years. During those 2 years, we've been kind of laying low because of the COVID pandemic, but we're now resuming our activities. And we'd like to invite the public to our monthly meetings, which will be held here in these chambers on the first Friday of each month at 7:00 p.m. Anyone wishing to become a member of our historical society can either come to a monthly meeting or visit our website at centerlinehistory.org. That's all one word, Centerline History. And click on the Join tab. Membership would include a subscription to our quarterly newsletter that will be distributed by email. Our society also has a public Facebook page that can be found using the Facebook search term Historical Centerline, again, one word. Centerline as a community is more than 100 years old, and each year there seems to be another centennial landmark. 2025 will mark the centennial of Centerline becoming a village, while this year marks the 100th anniversary of the dedication of the Bush School. It once stood on the north side of 10 Mile Road, just about 700 feet from here, where Day Distributing's building is now located. So we've prepared a brief history of the Bush School, and I'd like to present a copy as I leave here to each of the members of council. That article will also be shared with residents later this year and in water bills. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I do have a bunch of old medicines that my dad wants to donate.
Okay, we'll take them.
I haven't put them in the box yet, but when, just let me know where to deliver them.
Okay,
I'm
yes.
sure he's gonna want me to get them out of the store. so.
Okay, we'll take it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Want to speak? No one? Okay. We'll close the audience comment portion of the meeting. On the truck thing. We've had that problem with people that were coming to Benson's too. And we've informed all of our manufacturers about that situation. And it seems to curb it down, but then it depends. Because there's so much turnover with drivers, it seems like people just don't get it. And the GPS on people's phones takes them down those roads. And I wish there was a way to get that to stop.
That's a big issue.
Yeah.
And the director has said that just recently, that that's the response that our officers get when they do pull somebody over. They say, well, the GPS took me down this way. It's like, yeah, don't you look up at signs?
But there should be a way, I mean, in this day and age, there should be a way that the GPS sites of this world would know whether, I mean, it comes up and warns you when you're going too fast on the expressway. So it could come up and warn you, no trucks allowed on this road when you go on a certain road. I'm just saying.
And to that end, I mean, to that end, we have our GIS system, right? That system is connected to Macomb County's system, GIS system. So what we probably need to do is make sure that all of the signage that is out there on our roads, identifying no commercial vehicles or whatever, is registered in the GIS system properly. And that is actually, the county GIS is actually where, Google Maps and all these other mapping companies get their information from.
Well, that's something we can do.
So I'll
Let's do
have
that.
Gary look into that. They're a little bit short-staffed at this time right now, but
That's fine, but this will be something we can raise next meeting.
Right.
As administrative responses to issues that we're put on this meeting. All right. Monthly business, none. There's no business this month. All right. Next on the agenda, we have council action. First is request for approval to purchase 5 2150 flow modules with 2191 battery modules.
all right, the Public Works Superintendent, Gary McKinney, is requesting the city council approve the purchase of 5 2154 modules and batteries for same in the amount of $40,022. This is these 5 meters along with 6 that is going to be given loaned to us by AEW, our city engineer, for the purpose of doing monitoring of sanitary system flow. And this is a requirement as part of our administrative consent order that we agreed to just over a year ago.
All right, are there any questions? There being none, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that the council approve the request to purchase 5 50 flow modules with 2191 battery modules to include cables and scissor rings for an amount not to exceed $40,022.
Have a motion, do I have support?
I'll support.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we have request for approval of proposed amendments to Code of Ordinance Part 2, Appendix A, zoning, Article 3.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and City Council, is part of our continuing efforts to update, add, amend outdated and or unconstitutional ordinances. City manager and city attorney have determined that Part 2, Appendix A, zoning, Article 3, zoning districts and regulations, Section 301, Schedule of Land Use, represented a potential violation of constitutional law related specifically to the institutional land use for places of worship. In that finding, the city attorney references Section 2B1 of the Religious Land Use and Institutional Persons Act, which states that no government shall impose or implement a land use regulation in a manner that treats a religious assembly or institution on less than equal terms with non-religious assembly or institutions. Based on that, we are asking that you approve the proposed amendments as recommended by the Planning Commission to Section 301, specifically related to places of worship and clubs and
Private clubs or lodges.
thank you, clubs and lodges. Thank you, Mayor. It is essentially to correct what we believe to be a constitutional flaw in the ordinance or in the zoning code.
Are there any questions on that? Motion.
I will make a motion that council approve the amendments to the Code of Ordinance, Part 2, Appendix A, zoning Article 3, zoning districts and regulations, Section 301, Schedule of Land Use as presented.
I have a motion, do I have support?
I'll support.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have request for approval to obtain prepared live emergency communication services.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and City Council, the Director of Public Safety is here to answer any questions with regards to this item.
So this is app
In short,
that somebody can send a video.
yes. What happens is, as we all know, people take and videotape people doing stuff in violation of ordinance or something like that. Videotape, and of course, they called the Public Safety Department telling us about it. At that time, with this internet-based program, dispatch can send that individual a link to his cell phone. And they click on the link, whatever he's videotaping automatically populates in dispatch across our computer. And then we can record it and everything. And it allows us, plus there's GPS involved and so on. So whatever they see, we can see automatically at dispatch at this time.
And it's of no cost to us.
Yes, sir.
It's a no-brainer to me.
First year
Well,
free.
you know, I posed that same question to when I talked to them about that. And this in particular is free all the time. Now they're going to be expanding where the officers can pull this up on their in-car computers and other things. And then there's going to be a cost.
I haven't seen it in there either.
It still sounds like it would be really good.
Well, it's just another tool for our officers to know exactly where they need to go to deal with an issue.
Really good tool for you guys.
And Paul, can this be used as evidence against,
Of course. Yeah, because it comes straight from their cell phone. In fact, it's actually be easier because if they do, even if they don't, they can still send that cell phone evidence to dispatch and will make it easier for the detectives to copy it.
Sounds good.
Any questions on that? Being none, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that the council waive the reading and approve the Director of Public Safety to sign the contract to obtain prepared live emergency communication service.
I have a motion. Do I have support?
I'll support.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Request for approval of proposed amendment to Code of Ordinance, goats and swine prohibited, exception as presented.
this is gonna be really hard to talk about with that happening. Yes, Mr. Mayor and City Council, as part of the city administration's efforts to continuously update, add, and amend outdated ordinances, the city manager and city attorney have determined that Part 2, Chapter 10, Animals, Article 1, in general, Section 10-1, Goats and Swines Prohibited Exception, which states it shall be unlawful for any person to keep like goats or swine on any premises within the city except in slaughterhouses and yards adjacent thereto. Places an unnecessary restriction on educational institutions who wish to provide agricultural and farming type educational opportunities as part of the education programming within the confines of those educational institutions. Such educational institutions included but not limited to the Rising Star Academy, which offers educational program that includes farm to table concepts and is providing essential skills to young adults. In an effort to address the unnecessary restriction on educational institutions yet not cause a hardship to adjacent properties, the city manager does recommend that Part 2, Chapter 10, Animals, Article 1, in general, Section 10-1, Goats and Swine Prohibited Exception be amended as follows. It shall be unlawful for any person to keep goats or swine on any premises within the city, except in slaughterhouses and yards adjacent thereto, and educational institutions not to exceed 180 days of each calendar year, so long as said educational institution notifies the city in writing the beginning and ending dates of any calendar year as to the intent to keep live goats and swine. So the reason for this really is Rising Star Academy has requested that the city allow them to bring in goats to keep their farming area trimmed of sorts. That said, we think that this is a good way to allow for that. As you well know, Rising Stars Academy is a great institution here in our community and receives statewide support. It is an opportunity for them to learn a little bit more about the farming aspects of what it is that these young adults are learning when it comes to the programming over there. Rising Star Academy is expanding rapidly, as you well know, and I think that this is another way that we can support them.
All right, are there any questions on that? There being none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, the council waive the reading and approve the proposed amendment to the Code of Ordinance, Part 2, Chapter 10, Animals, Article 1, General Section 10-1, Goats and Swines Prohibited exception as presented.
And motion, do I have support? Support. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Historical Society, take note. We're allowed to have goats and swine again.
My mother used to move the goat before she went dancing.
Request consideration to table splash pad project.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and City Council, as you may recall, the city of Centerline did receive approval of CDBG funding in 2020 in the amount of $150,000 to fund in part the design and development of a splash pad aquatic feature at Memorial Park. Subsequently, the city manager did receive authorization from the city council to sign a CDBG sub-recipient agreement and begin the engineering and architectural design and development of a 10-unit aquatic splash pad feature. On February 11th of 2021, the city did receive one proposal from WCI contractors in the amount of $606,700 for the construction of the project, which was more than $250,000 higher than the estimate provided by the city engineer. Therefore, the city worked to reduce the cost through value engineering and remove most of the green infrastructure applications from the project and move the project task to the city's DPW. After value engineering of the proposed project, the city then requested new proposals in May of 2021. One proposal again was submitted by WCI contractors at almost $50,000 more than the proposal received in January of 2021. Even with the removal of the GI and the expanded use of DPW personnel. Due to the aforementioned, the city did request and receive an extension from CDBG program funds in the amount of $150,000 in late 2021, with the promise that a fourth and final request for proposals was initiated. Once again, the city attempted further value engineering while working to reduce the cost of the project. The city received two proposals in June of 25th of 2021 in excess of $599,000. These proposals did not meet the CDBG programming requirement that the bid could not exceed 20% of the engineer's estimate. Finally, in February of 2022, request for proposals for the splash pad project was once again sent out to no avail. Two proposals were received, with a low bid being more than $74,000 above the previous low bid. City was informed by both bidders that their cost continues to rise, primarily due to the current rate of inflation. The financial commitment for the city should not exceed for such a project $56,000 or a little more than 10% of the project. With that said, it is our recommendation that the city council table this project until the city is able to successfully raise the additional funding through MEDC, patronicity, and various other fundraising opportunities. But we do think right now this project should be tabled until we can secure better funding opportunities.
How does that affect the grant?
At this point, we have an extension through the end of this year, correct, Brandon?
Yeah, we have an extension through November, and what happens with that money is if we don't use it, it does go back to the county for the purpose of residential rehab. So our residents could take use of that program, but it's more of a, well, it is a countywide program, so anyone within the county can apply for that.
Well, anyone that doesn't have their own CDBG, like, you know.
Correct. That's low moderate income. They have their own eligibility.
So what else could we use it for? Or we
Well,
have to brainstorm. it?
This money goes back in to the system. We can't change the project.
Huh.
Once you do that, the money goes back and you have to reapply for whatever other new projects, which is what we're doing right now for this year. Is we're applying it for a new project for another 150. If we lose this money, essentially, like Brandon just pointed out, it goes into a pot. Residents of the city who qualify through low moderate income standards can in fact get home loans to upgrade their properties or their homes. There are restrictions, there are qualifiers. It's a federal program. So there are limitations. Not everybody can qualify, but it is out there. People can get rehab loans for their homes. So we can take advantage of it a different way. Just the city can't take advantage.
How would we inform our citizens of the availability of that?
Well, we can just continue to do that through our normal website, social media, and other efforts like that. We can put it on the water bill.
Is that the plan?
Sorry?
Is that the plan?
Yes. The reality is that in these last 6 years, we have successfully changed the line of deportation, I guess. The fact is our low moderate income line in this city 6 years ago was north of 10 Mile Road. As far as the LMI line, that line now has gone further south. That means that we're less and less qualified for CDBG funding than ever before. The good news is we got a lot of money out of the CDBG program these last 6 years. So, and we will continue to do so as much as we can. Right now, we're working on a proposal for the standard water main project, hoping to get $150,000 of supplement income for that project using this program. Hopefully they'll get us approved and we'll be able to move that project forward in the next year.
What are our plans for raising funds for the splash pad?
Brandon has a letter attached to the item here. Brandon, why don't you give the city council a quick rundown of on your.
Yeah, at this point, the state does not have very many funding opportunities. We could crowdfund for some of this. But the largest crowdfunding platform is, as Mr. Champagne mentioned earlier, is the Patronicity program. But that's more of a I won't say last resort, but you have to have all the other funds committed before you can use that program. So, we can ask businesses to, see if they would be interested in, sponsoring something at the splash pad. But again, we would have to raise around $400,000 to $500,000 before we can use the Patronicity program, and then I'd be calling more businesses for money for that, or indoor residents.
So we've had, Friends of the Fire Truck. We've had Canine Foundation. We've had several things like that. Is this something? Is this something that we can do where we set a project together like that, where we can raise funds somehow
Yes, I mean.
for this particular project? Because
This
there
project-
seems to be a lot of people in the city that are interested in this type of a thing for us.
So as you well know, Mayor, there are two ways that we can do this as far as fundraising. The city can accept donations specific to this project, and that money would be essentially, what is the fund called? What would it be called, city treasurer? Committed funding. Or we could ask the Festival Foundation as a community foundation nonprofit to accept donations through the foundation and have them provide the funding for this particular project. Or you can establish a whole nother foundation separate of that. One of the things that we discussed internally was, is it possible for us to just simply change the name of the Centerline Festival Foundation to the Centerline Community Foundation? And then that foundation can be the launching point for all fundraising beyond normal city service general fund stuff. It's an option.
Something to think about.
You know, they're established not 501c3. All we would have to do is notify the state that the name of the organization is being changed. But it would still hold the same responsibilities or objectives, missions, goals. You just add more mission and goals to their overall objectives.
I like that idea. I like that a lot. Yeah. That's something to consider. Anybody else have any questions? No questions. Entertain a motion.
Motion to table proposed splash pad project.
Have a motion. Do I have support?
Support.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And I assume you're going to be bringing that up to the Festival Foundation.
I am.
All right, next.
Is that
on
what
the
you want?
agenda-
Yes.
You are.
Yes, it is what I want.
It was your recommendation.
Yes.
All right, request for approval to begin negotiations with representatives of the U.S. Army Reserves for landscape services.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and City Council, we have, as you well know, we have had informal discussions with TACOM and the U.S. Army Garrison to provide essential services such as snow removal, solid waste removal, grounds maintenance, salt procurement, engineering services, amongst many others that have been part of our discussions. As you know, Mayor and Gary McKinney and I have sat down with the leadership at the TACOM facility, you know, the Army Garrison, as they call it, and just did a mostly discussions to see whether or not this was something that was viable. We then sent over a proposal for 10 years and 20 years, and they were very, very thrilled with it. However, they did have some changes that they wanted to be made to the solid waste side of it. That said, and due to the fact that we did receive word that our engineering services will in fact be services that we will be extending to the federal government or the Army Garrison, we did get contacted by a consulting company out of Maine, and they are interested in incorporating into a future agreement all 4 Army Reserve centers in Metro Detroit, 2 of which are in downriver area and 2 that are up here in the northern part of the metro area. The goal behind that particular request is that they would like us to have our landscape services company extend their prices to the U.S. Army Reserves, and the city would be the administrator of such services. As part of that, the city would receive an administrative fee as part of the contract. But under this is called the Intergovernmental Services Agreements that was established 20 years ago by the Department of Defense. And the goal behind that program was, in fact, to get local communities more involved in the services that are provided on the military bases. One such contract was in Monterey, California. 20 years ago, it was established, and they've had nothing but a great relationship with the local base there. But it also is through these types of agreements, it's funneling the DOD's monies or budgeted dollars for services within each of their bases to the local communities. So even though TACOM is located in Warren, they felt that they could work best through Centerline. And make a Centerline the administrative centralized, administrator of these programs for them on their behalf, even with other municipalities. But tonight I am asking that the city council allow me to begin formal negotiations with the U.S. Army for the reserve centers for landscape services.
Sounds like a good deal to me. Any questions? There are none. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that the council authorize the city manager to begin formal IGSA negotiations with U.S. Army Garrison and U.S. Army Reserves for the provision of specific services by the city or its private service contractors.
I have a motion. Do I have support?
I'll support.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Request for approval of rezoning of St. Clement Cemetery for RM, from RM, multiple family residential to R2, one family residential to allow for continued use of the cemetery,
Yes, Mr. Mayor. and
which is
city
already
council.
happening anyway,
What's that?
which is already happening anyway.
In on or about March 27th of 1990, the Dunn Family Senior Citizens Home, Inc. Sold an approximate 150.4 by 80.46 feet parcel of land to the Archdiocese of Detroit, specifically Edmund Cardinal Zonka, on land contract for the expansion of the St. Clement Cemetery. The new cemetery area is in fact still part of Dunn Family Home. And it was recently split and is now taxed as a separate parcel. However, it appears that the parties failed to complete the split combination as required by the state land division regulations and City of Centerland ordinance. AOD subsequently paid for the land contract in full and has been operating this area as cemetery area since that time. Recent events, the Dunn Family Home has approached the city about doing a 49 unit addition to their facility. And that is when they recognized that this piece of land was still part of the parcel of Dunn Family Homes. So this is really a formality to make official this land split and approve the rezoning of the parcel known as 8400 Engelman Avenue or St. Clement Cemetery. Is that confusing?
I was
I don't
trying to-
know. Is there any questions on that?
It was the newest edition back, 20, 30 years ago that they put on, right? That's.
Yeah, it's the northeast corner of what is St. Clement Cemetery. That little triangular or a
Yeah.
rectangular section.
I was trying to figure out what it was, like, but once you said, yeah, I'm good.
Are there any questions? Nope. If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the council approve the request to approve the rezoning of St. Clement Cemetery from RM multiple family residential to R2 one family residential to allow for continued cemetery use.
I have a motion. Do I have support? Support. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have a consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that anybody in the audience would like pulled for individual consideration? Are there any items on the consent agenda that anybody on council would like pulled for individual consideration? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve all the items under the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have support?
Support.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda. we have to cross off a whole bunch of stuff. We'll go to council comments. Councilman Hurst.
We have a happy St. Patrick's Day coming up. And also don't forget the Friday Fish Fry at the VFW Hall. Also at the Knights of Columbus. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Nothing from me tonight.
Yeah, VFW, 4 to 7. Monday through Friday, we got the hamburgers, fries, onion rings. So, public is welcome. So,
Thank you. Friends of the Library, March 12th. They have a book sale going on. Kids, actually, a kids book sale from 12 to 3. You buy one book, you get the second one for free. And they also have another one April 9th, which I'll also remind at the next council meeting. I cannot list all the programs that's going on the next few months. Please visit library website. And also there'll be social media posts on too. There's lots of good things going on there. Trivia night, April 1st, making green slime, all kinds of wonderful stuff and more through the summer as well. So continue the good work, Ms. Wesleyan. I have 2 questions. Whatever came about our bike route? Is that going to ever go under construction or it just disappeared?
No, it is for the spring, right? So you should see signage and markings and so forth going in this spring.
All right, well, that's nice to hear.
And, you know, as far as any improvements, we, at this point, have done pretty much all that we can afford to do at this point. As far as roadway improvements, hopefully in the future, we can get to those.
Okay. Our parks are getting upgrades for the playscape this summer, for their playscapes for all 3 parks, is that correct?
That is correct.
And when, I'll let you elaborate when that, we should start seeing this.
So that still is being, the scope of the work and specs are still being put together by the city engineer. As soon as he gets that done, we'll get it ready for posting for bids. Will it be done by the festival? Probably not.
That's what I was hoping.
All the same, we'd like to get it done by then, but it's all dependent on how the bids go. As you well know, bids right now are coming in really, really super high, and that could delay that project.
Okay. And I'll let the mayor talk more about pancake breakfast next month. Maybe just get a little plug out there, Mayor, for your Semi-Lions Club pancake breakfast on April 10th. And that is all I have. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. There is a Friends of the Library, Paul and Majora Marge Scholarship Fund for college that our students can take advantage of. And I hope the students would eagerly take advantage of this program. So reach out to the library and apply.
Pretty cool.
I'm done there. Thank you.
All right. All right, I only had a couple things. Since we did this on the consent agenda, I'd like to point out the fact that we just approved the Independence Festival for June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And we approved the City Cleanup Day for May 14th and the National Day of Prayer for May 5th. So that everybody knows. And of course, as Councilman Moeller pointed out, the Centerline Lions Club will be having their annual pancake breakfast on April 10th at the school cafeteria. So if you can get out to do that, they're going to be having 2 this year because they're going to be having one on the 4th at the festival as well. So you can have my awesome pancakes twice this year. People. The other thing I had was in the treasurer's financial report. There was a mention of the building department fund being short and that our fees haven't been raised in 20 years. for the building department.
Yes, sir.
Is that something we're going to be bringing before council anytime
The
soon?
city treasurer is working on a updated fee schedule or proposed fee schedule that will be presented here within, before the next budget year. So
I have no problem with being business friendly, but I do feel like we should at least cover our costs.
absolutely.
We cannot be working at a deficit.
That's pretty much how we feel too.
The other thing is, have we heard from, is it Calam? The ownership company over here for ABC Warehouse about the carnival? Back it off. Is that, what were they called? Is it Calam or
Not Cal
Can-Al?
something like
Yeah,
that.
Callahan.
Calam.
Calam, I was right. I'll be darned. How sharp am I?
So they requested 3 or 4 different documents, the video, the marketing video highlighting the festival, updated insurance and updated city insurance information, site maps, including barricades and everything like that. I sent her the final document this morning. So I'm hoping to hear something hopefully later on this week from her superiors on what our next steps are.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
We already talked about the fish fries. Stop sign on Lawrence and Bernice. There's a stop sign on Lawrence and Bernice.
Oh, that's on a tire or a wheel,
Yeah,
temporary sign.
yeah, and it keeps falling over.
Keeps getting blown over.
Yes, it keeps getting blown over. And apologize to your dispatch lady because I was very slow in my call this morning when I called to report the fact that the sign had been blown over. And I was trying to explain to her that it was southbound on Lawrence, and she seemed a little bit short with the fact that it was taking me too long to explain that to her. And so,
Maybe I should apologize.
no, I should have been quicker, but I was trying to think of my directions. And she sounded like maybe the phone was ringing. So, but can we sink that in the ground or something? So I can stop calling.
I know that Gary is waiting on some signs to be delivered.
Okay. Well, there's a sign there. It's just, it needs to be put into the
But
ground.
that's one of our temps for those situations. And I believe that that's what we're doing is we're waiting for replacement signs. So
All right.
I thought that they put some sandbags on it.
They put paver blocks,
Oh,
like the retention wall blocks.
Yeah.
Are on it, and it should be enough, but obviously the wind yesterday, it just laughed. at
well,
it.
that's a pretty strong wind. blowing
Yeah.
across there. So,
Yeah, the paver blocks just said, "Hi, you think we're gonna take care of this? It ain't gonna happen." Right? And if I wasn't late for work, I'd have got out and put it back up myself, but I was running late and I had a meeting this morning, so I had to get there. But it's just something that, it is a problem because I'd hate to see somebody drive through there thinking, and somebody else thinking that they were supposed to stop and cause an accident. That'd be a big problem. And I want to thank the Historical Society for coming here today, and thank you for all you do for Center Line. Really appreciate it. And that's all I have. City manager comments.
I just want to thank, give a hand of thanks to the department heads and administration team. This year, with all of the grants and donations that we've received commitments on, it totals over $1 million this year. And it's grants that were written in the past. It's monies that have recently been committed. We did receive a letter of commitment just today for $300,000. So kudos to our team for sure. We also have a total of 8 marijuana businesses open now in the city. And I'm just very proud of our team. I think that everybody has worked very hard to help the city continue to grow. The revenues we get from, property tax collection certainly is enough to provide the basic services. But when it comes to the additional things, the extra things that we like to do here in Centerline, that comes from hard work of our team to get these dollars, these additional dollars. And we will continue to work hard to bring more funding into the city beyond just, collection of property taxes. So I'm very proud of the team we have. And the only other thing I wanted to mention is, as you well know, our property maintenance division and ordinance enforcement division, which is now a division of public safety, has begun their new term working for the city, working on behalf of the city. Danny Petrov is the chief ordinance enforcement officer, and he just joined us today, first day on the job.
He was ready to come back to work, he told me.
Yes, he was. He even shaved the beard off, which blew me away. And his partner will join him later on this month. And we've already begun talking about how we're going to continue our efforts to continue improving our neighborhoods and our commercial industrial districts. So I'm looking forward to working with Danny and Dave as our two ordinance enforcement officers. That's it.
Remember, be nice.
So, can I? Sure. So, again, for those who don't know me, my name is Danny Petrov. I'd like to take this time to thank the mayor, the council, the city manager, including Janice and Director Mazinski, for giving me the opportunity to stay part of this community. A little bit of background about myself. I was hired as a volunteer firefighter in 2000, got employed full-time in 2002 as a public safety officer, did 15 years on the road, last 5 as a detective, and retired officially last Monday. So I've been around the city a long time. I'm very excited, I'm very honored, and I appreciate the opportunity to stay part of this community. Recently, in the last month or two, colleagues from other cities found out about my recent retirement and who come in town, who haven't been in town a lot, and they're like, wow, what are you guys doing this community? I haven't been in this part of the city or this area in a long time. What is going on? And it's a lot with the administration, the last few years or short period of time, what you guys have done to progress and move this community in the right direction. And it's just a nonstop work. I mean, I myself have sit back and watch what has happened with the city and the community progressing in the right direction. And I'm pumped and excited about continuing to be part of this community because I'm very committed and passionate about this small little town. And Mayor, you got my word. I will be nice. I believe in I hate to use this term aggressive enforcement, but my aggressive enforcement in my experience dealing with the public for 20+ years is PR. Being nice, communicating, educating. Sometimes that's all people need is a little bit of education. You know, I'm all about being nice. And I've always said this in my whole entire career, even hiring new guys, we take care of our people here. That's why I love this community, because you can take care of people. They're our citizens and that's our job. So I will be nice. I understand when there's not a time to be nice there. Well, I'll flip the switch.
You can be nice until you can't.
No, well, and the thing is like I said, it's just about communication, education, and I've been surprised working the road as long as I have in a detective in short 5 years, just giving somebody respect and communicating. And we all have an ultimate goal here, and let's achieve it a lot quicker than we have to. So I'll be nice.
Appreciate that.
I'll take any questions. I don't know if I can answer any right now. I just started, but
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Welcome back.
Yeah, a long absence, right?
All right, is there anything else? There being nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion, do I have support? All in favor, aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks.